Okay, cool. So first of all, obviously it's a really good time to have a call because it is going to be the 1st of September on Wednesday. So I always like it when our last call is falls really close to the start of the month. So first thing you've probably all seen, we're going to be doing the September squat challenge. So when I was at NMD school, one thing that Sarah Muhan, who's one of the NMD, she has been on one of our team calls before and she was amazing. One thing she said, which I really liked, was that she does like a monthly challenge. So I know before, obviously, we follow Danny and Ross's kind of structure in terms of they often put on a package, using the current products. So it's not technically anything new, but we do slim into spring, that kind of thing. But I personally feel like we maybe didn't utilize that. I don't know about you guys, but I know I spoke to Gemma and Sam and they were like, yeah, we don't really use it. I didn't really post about it. And I didn't feel like it really did much different to kind of get me new customers, if that makes sense. So whereas I like the idea of obviously doing a challenge because we're giving free value. So the whole point of this, and I've come up with 12 ones. I know it's a little bit OCD to plan them all now, but I've got 12 fitness challenges that we can basically offer one a month. And obviously they don't have to do it. And I've just put it on my social media, and I've got a few people who I have actually spoken to before about the products who've just never ordered them, who are going to do the challenge with me. So I just think it's a really good way just to kind of for you to give value to potential, or just everybody on social media basically. So obviously I put the picture in our groups, hopefully you've all seen it, and it's literally a case of just doing the squat challenges every day throughout September. So even if you are not someone who does fitness and you're not a fit person, don't worry, because everybody kind of can start off doing the lower amount. If it's way too much, you can always change it to fit you and do less. But the idea is we're going on a bit of a journey together. And obviously we're taking people with us on our social media and they're going to be seeing us do it. If you're going to do this, I would 100% say to you, stick to doing it, So make sure, even if, and this is probably going to be me on the days I'm working, even if it gets to 9 p.m. at night, make yourself accountable and still do it. And I've said to the people who are kind of in it with me that I'm going to basically, I'm probably not going to go live every day doing that. I thought it might be a bit boring every squatting, doing a live doing squats every day, but I'm going to do things like a time lapse when we're doing it. I'm going to send the video to those people, whether it's customers or potential customers who I've said I'm going to do it, so they can see I'm doing it. So I'm basically being accountable and I'm going to help them be accountable as well. So your customers might want to check in with you to say they've done it every day. And the idea is obviously we'll post about it, we'll document it, we'll get really excited about it. And there's so many, you have to remember, there's so many people out there who really want to get healthier, but they just do not have the motivation. They don't think they'll be able to stick to it. So by seeing something like this, a challenge that we're all doing it and we're all, sticking to it, keep each other accountable, they're going to get FOMO and they're going to want to do it. And I think it's a really good way to get customers. And, Sarah was saying it's actually a really fun thing to do as well. It just brings that community side. And I really like the idea. So that's what we're going to be doing for those of you who want to do it going forward. And Sam's made some amazing videos we can use. I've already use them on my social media. I'm going to literally, I've not done it today, I'm going to post about it every day. So tonight I'm going to do it, really drum it up, to September, throughout September. And obviously when it's October, we'll do another one for October. So that's the first thing, which I think is really exciting. I'm really excited for that. So I just found before doing where we do the same products but a different name, I felt like I wasn't really giving anything to customers. It was just kind of the same every month, whereas I feel like this is a little bit more exciting. And I feel like September is like January. I think because this year's been a bit of an odd one, hasn't it, with obviously it has still been a bit COVID-y, and people haven't gone on holiday that they normally do. I personally, we shouldn't say this, I think it probably has been a quieter month across the board than normal August. But you know what, in general, in this industry, they do kind of say the summer months tend to be a little bit quiet because people are away, their priority isn't really getting healthy or starting a business, but it's the people like you guys who are on this call who've kept consistent and kept going with it, where when it does get busy, you're going to reap the benefits because you've been doing it all the time. And I do think between September and December, it's going to be incredibly busy. So keep going with it. And you obviously will see, we'll see the results and really get organized with your day. I don't know about anybody else, but I feel like I've been walking around upside down for the last few weeks with being away. I have done my DMO, but I haven't been as organized as I'd like to feel. And I cannot wait to get into a routine. And I'm actually sitting down tonight and I'm going to do a plan of what I'm going to post about each day, my live videos. I feel like sometimes over the last few weeks I've gone a bit waffly, I've not really had a focus, and I really want to make sure I'm giving good value on my social media. So maybe a little plan for you if you feel the same, just literally write down And I think sometimes when we're doing this a while, we feel like we don't have to plan our posts. I'm not saying you have to plan it word for word or it has to be, all pre-planned, but really try and plan like a structure so you know kind of what you're talking about. Otherwise, I just feel like I talk about the same thing, or I feel like I get a bit boring, and obviously we don't want to do that. So that's something I'm going to be doing tonight, and I'm actually really excited to do that. Obviously we've got the events coming up, so if I don't know, if just put in the chat if you're going on the 18th of September. I'm actually going to drive down. So obviously, Emma, if you're going, you can come in the car. Is anybody else? And obviously Jenny, you are. Is anybody else up here? I don't think anybody else is. But yeah, if you can try and get to Birmingham, I would definitely. Yeah, and I'm just gonna go and for the day and then come back. It's like 1 p.m. till 6 p.m. But if you do need to stay, if it is like quite far, I'm sure there might be people in the team staying or other people, or obviously you can drive back or whatever. But do you know what, like the more we can get to these events, I had massive FOMO about the Manchester one. I was watching Jenna's stories all day being like, for God's sake, I'm so not gone. And Adrian was like, well, you just be quiet, you are having like, I had family around basically, and he was like, you with your family? And I was like, I know, but these are like my family. And I had massive FOMO, and you know what, like events are so good because they just like really inspire you. And you know what, like we often say this, but sometimes events need you and sometimes you need events. And I think at this time of year we all need events to really like boost and motivate us. And obviously then it is the big convention in October, and again, like if you can get your ticket, get yourself there, because it will be amazing. It will be so good. Like, and I would say as well, really think about, I know it's a month away, well no, was it 2 months away basically? Yeah, 2 months. So just think about what position do you want to be when you're there? And do you know what, even if you feel like you're maybe you haven't reconfirmed SP or you haven't hit PB or whatever your goal is you want to do in the next 2 months, like a lot can change. A lot. You have to think, people go NMD, like people have done it in 10 months. I'm not saying we're all going to go NMD, but if they can do that, you can 100% hit your next position by the convention, 100%, particularly if it's like you're reconfirming and you've already got there. So really get focused and have in your head what your goal is over the next couple of months. Because every morning now, and do you know what, again, Sarah, she was like my favorite speaker at NMD school, but she spoke about this, and every morning, and I know Jenna spoke about this on a call, I do my visualization. But I think for me, I've been visualizing my big goals, like when I have, like when we have a homestead that I know to work all the time, but that kind of thing. Like, whereas actually what she said, and I really liked it, she said she actually brought a trophy and she brought it to the NMD school, which was like a little trophy, and she was like, every morning for NMD, I'd sit down in my kitchen and I'd just hold my trophy and visualize I was on stage as an NMD, and she's like, and I'd be in my kitchen holding my trophy, bawling my eyes out, and her husband walked in and was like, what are you doing? She's like, I probably look ridiculous, but she said it worked, and it was amazing, and it was really like moving. And I was like, oh, do you know what, I visualize like my big goals, but I think I've kind of lost my way with visualizing like what, like my next promotion, not that NMB is a small goal, but that kind of thing, like how you're going to feel at the convention. So that's what I'm doing every morning between now and then. I'm visualizing, and also we have a convention in the spring as well. So just think about that. Like maybe if you have a big goal, like, NMD or whatever, and you don't, maybe it's not possible to do in the next couple of months, look at the bigger picture, look at the next one, but just think about how you're going to feel when you're on that stage. Because honestly, like that is what it's all about, like that feeling, and you will get goosebumps, and it's really powerful. And then if you think of that first thing in the morning, I can guarantee you will finish your DMO that day, because you just won't be able to not to, because you'll feel so motivated to do it. So this is a little thing that Sarah did. We've done this a little bit before, a little bit different, that I thought was a really good thing to do at the end of the month. So we all at NMD school had to basically evaluate ourselves in these areas. So we don't have to do it now, but if you've got a pen and paper, you can jot it down. If not, I can put a picture in our group later. But basically, and for some of you who are relatively new, some of these might not apply. However, it's never too early to start, in my opinion. So she was saying, basically rate yourselves out of 10, obviously 10 being amazing, 0 being rubbish on these areas. So number 1 was your level of consistency. So I know that's probably like, yes, we all know, but that is literally the thing you have to be the most at, Number 2, and this is something I've got to get better at, it's normally my like best thing, but over the last few weeks I've just like struggled, like I normally would be fine with it, morning routine. So get your morning routine sorted, because I know when you've got kids, this is so hard, and I have definitely found this difficult with Sunny being in our room in the last couple of weeks, but I'm like, get me back into routine and get my morning routine sorted. Number 3, again, this has been a massive downfall for me over the last few weeks. On plan, I've eaten so much rubbish, but you know, it's a summer, so I'm getting back on track next week. Being on plan, to documenting that. Number 4 was following your DMO. So are you good? Out of 10, how good are you at actually following your DMO? Do you actually get it done, or do you always have things you miss off? Number 5 was hosting calls. So obviously I do this quite a lot, but please, anybody who wants to host a call, I know Jenna and Sam do it, but anybody else who wants to, let me know. I never like to put pressure on people because obviously, you know, I don't want to do that, but doing things like hosting a team call, or even if you don't want to host like a Sunday call, we could always do like a little power hour. You could just share your top tips. You could host one of Danny's morning calls as a power hour, or whenever you want to do it. But they really do help you kind of, you know, step outside your comfort zone. Like when I first hosted a team call, I was absolutely pooing my pants. I hated it. And you know what, like before any of you were in the business with me a long time ago, when I had, you know, like not many people, and I was that person who I'd do a call every week, and honestly I cannot tell you the amount of weeks I had no one come on the call, and I was like, oh my god. And you know what, I sat there and I did it as though I was doing a call, because I was like, it's good to develop myself. I probably like a right loser, but I know that it really helped me. And you know what, even if, you know, and hopefully you guys will all be here for a long time, but even if it was like me, Jenna and Sam, or Claire, or Emily, or whoever here, or just me, I would still come on, because it's really good for your self-development. So really, really push yourselves. Okay. Next one was getting on calls, which again, speaking to the converted here, you girls are on the calls, but really like decided, and I'm not saying you've got to get on every single call a day. I know obviously they have the whole team winning ones, and there are a lot of calls on, but like decide what ones you're going to get on. So for me, like when I'm on my normal routine, I've actually committed now to getting on, I'm not sure how it's going to go when I'm at work, but getting on the 6:30 a.m. calls, because I've just tried to be more organized to get on it. You know, if that's not possible, if you've got work or whatever, just try and get on an 8 p.m. call, but decide about getting on a call. And I would say try and get on one call a day, because they'll just help you stay motivated, you know. And if that means planning like bath time around the call, like just do it. It's those kind of little sacrifices that really, they're not a big one, but they are going to massively help your business. Okay, number 7 was events. So this is obviously like going to events. So again, like, and do you know what, there's obviously this little one in Birmingham, but there will be other events. And if you go onto like I think it's the Team Rhino group, or even the Thursday night PJ call group, if you put a post in there and you're like, hey, I live here, does anybody have any events coming up around here? I can guarantee there will be, you know, like don't be afraid, because that's how I initially did events before COVID. And before like Jenna was in the team with me, I actually used to meet up with, you probably see me tag them on Facebook, but a couple of girls who are local in Sheffield but not in our team, and we just used to do like coffee meetups and stuff like that, because actually you can reach out to other people. So don't worry if you haven't got a team or any of us like that are near you, you can always reach out to other people. Number 8, this is something that I am actually going to start doing, so hosting events. So I again started this like just hosting a coffee morning with a couple of these girls before COVID. Obviously because of COVID it's been a little bit difficult, but for me, I'm not going to lie, I'm absolutely pooing my pants about hosting an event. I don't know why, I'm like, oh my god, I've just never done it. So that is a big thing where I'm like, I've got to do it, I've got to get uncomfortable. And me and Stacey, while we're on that note, so Stacey Kelly in Danny's team, she's actually up this way as well. We're going to host, we're just trying to find a venue. We're going to look at Doncaster way. So I know it's not obviously not everyone's here, but if you're not here and you've got people you're speaking to within this area, send them along. It's going to be an opportunity event. We're going to try and do like every couple of months we do one. So I think we're thinking like maybe a Wednesday night. And we'll just be like a couple of hours, and obviously like anybody who can come and wants to speak at them again, it'll be really good like development. And you know what, like and again, this was kind of one of my worries. I was like, what if no one turns up? But at the NMD school, Sarah was like, you know what, I've done like so many where no one turned up, and she was like, we just did like a practice run, had like a training event for the team. So I am actually really excited to do this, and for me, I know it's definitely one. And it doesn't have to be a big event. You can literally host a little event like a little shake party in your house, or, you know, at the local, like I used to do a little coffee morning. It can be anything. So maybe if you're not ready yet, that's fine. But if you do want to challenge yourself, do a little, like, you know, hosting an event. It hasn't got to cost anything. It can be like basically free. Like we used to just go and sit in the Slug and Lettuce, and obviously it would be like a mum's coffee club, and then we'd like gradually talk about the business, that kind of thing. But just something to kind of get that community feel going, which obviously is really good for your posting anyway. Number 9 was bringing in new clients and team members. So obviously this is what we strive to do in our business. Business is how we get paid, but really, like, look at your kind of yourself and rate yourself. Like, are you good at this? Is this something you struggle with? And if you're not great at it, like, that's okay. But then look at maybe how you're going to get better at it. So look at the content you're putting out there. You might find with this one, if this is quite low and your consistency is low, then maybe that's why. Okay. And then the last one was creating new content. So how guilty are we of, like, you know, do you make your own post? Do you copy and paste other people's, that kind of thing? That's okay to do every now and then. Like, you know, if you've got a results photo, like a good one you've seen flying around, of course, but, you know, particularly those posts where it's like you're talking from the heart and you're talking about, you know, why you love the products, why you love the business. There's literally no point in going and copy and pasting someone else's words, because they'll see right through it. It's got to be you. So really try and kind of be authentic in that way. And maybe like on the, like, the whole of that, just think about, like, what are you afraid of doing? Like, this is a really important thing. So for me, like, when I was at NMT school, went to that, I was like, yeah, I'm quite afraid of doing an event. I need to do one. Let me just check what was between hosting calls and events. I'll just go through them quickly. So number 1 was consistency. Number 2, morning routine. Number 3, on plan. Number 4, following a DMO. Number 5, hosting calls. Number 6, getting on calls. Number 7, events. Number 8, hosting events. Number 9, bringing in new clients and team members. And then lastly, number 10 was creating new content. So yeah, I really like that little exercise when I did it, and it just enabled me to see, like, the areas I could do better at, because no one is perfect at this business. Everybody can do better. You're going to naturally be stronger in some areas than others. Like, I know, like, without fail, I know Sam is amazing at being on plan. Like, she's so good at it. Jenna, actually, hats off to you recently. You've been amazing as well. But I know that maybe if I was to say to Sam, go and host an event, she'd be like, I don't want to do it, that kind of thing, you know, because we've all got strengths and stuff that we're like, things we're better at and things we're not as good at. You know, there'll be some of you who you will, like, you'd love to host a team call, and, you know, others who'd be like, absolutely not. And that's okay, but that's just your area to develop. Maybe Sam's going to go and host an event next month and surprise me. I'll come Sam. Okay, so a few little things I wanted to go through from NMD school, just little, like, tips I'd picked up that I thought were really good. One thing that I never knew, so Natalie Young, who I think she was at the event with you, Jenna, wasn't she, at the Manchester one? I'm sure she was. Yeah, she probably said this to you actually if you're at the event, but she was talking about, like, obviously sharing her story. And I think when someone is like a PMD plus and they've been doing it for, like, however long she has, what is it, like 7 years, maybe longer, it's very easy to just think, oh my god, like, she's amazing, she's got this incredible business, like, she's so lucky. But she was saying to us how basically she when she had hit PMD, a PMD in her business, a massive leg of her business left, and she was like, no one knew this, no one knew that they'd left, and it obviously, like, massively affected my business, and it obviously wasn't great for her. But she was like, that's just business, that's just the way it is. And I was like, I personally really like it when people like Olivia, I know at the event, she was like really real like this, when they tell us that they have struggles, because I think that is normal, you know. When it's, what I want to say to her is, it's not normal to just fly to the top of this business and it all be roses. Like, that doesn't happen. Like, even if you think it does, and you look at people, you're like, oh well, like, they're all right. Like, I can guarantee they've had some form of struggle. And one thing that one of the girls said was, in this business you literally fail your way to success. And I was like, do you know what, like, that sums this business up so well. Like, I can't even tell you all, like, and you all know this, but all the things that have gone on in the last 3.5 years that you could say I've completely had a balls up and failed, like, so many things, you know. But you're never going to become, like, successful, and you're going to have different points of success. So I know for me, for a long time, when I massively was like, if I can just earn like £500 in 1 month, I will feel so successful, I'll feel amazing. And then obviously you hit that goal and your goal changes, and you have another goal, but you don't just get to that next goal like easy peasy. You're going to fail your way there, and that's totally normal. Okay, and that is literally how you do this business. And I think sometimes we're all guilty, like me massively, of forgetting that, like, you know, failing is a massive massive part of this. And I actually mentioned it on a podcast recently. And when I was doing the podcast, it was so good for me to remind myself of that. It is a massive part of it. A big thing they were saying, which I know we all do, and I obviously know that I promote this a lot, but it's about teaching self-development from the get-go. And this is something I'm often a little bit afraid to mention too soon to new team members, because I know, like, when someone mentioned it to me, I was like, I'm not doing that. And I know Jenna always jokes when I said about mindset, she was like, no, that's not for me, because it isn't something people tend to do in their day-to-day like life. Like, I don't think people tend to do it unless they really need to. And it's something that I was a little bit like, oh, I'm not sure it's for me. So I don't necessarily mention it straight away. I tend to probably wait until people, I know they're kind of serious, they want to hit positions, that kind of thing. However, this business is literally like 80% mindset. And they were saying that, don't be afraid to mention it relatively soon and get them to do things like listen to podcasts and, really build it as part of their early DMO. And I think that's something that actually, if we do that and we really like focus on that, our retention of team members will probably be even higher, because ultimately the only reason, in all honesty, I've stayed in this business is because I believed in myself, and I still do 100%. And how did I do that? From working on myself. Like, if I hadn't ever worked on myself, I would have quit this business 100%. Like, that's probably the same for every single person in this industry. So I think we really should push that like earlier on. And again, another little point was they were saying that when we have a dip, we automatically think it's bad, which again, I'm guilty of, like, and I'm always 100% honest with you girls. Like, I obviously hit QNMD last year. Between then and now, my business has dropped. Like, of course it has. It's a business, but and when you maybe look at it, you're like, oh, that's a really bad thing, because your business has got smaller. But actually, no, it's not, because when your business is going up and up, you're actually not making any progress, which might sound really weird, but you're gaining success, you're gaining momentum, which is incredible. Like, you're growing in terms of your business, but as a person, you're probably not growing, because you effectively don't need to at that moment in time. When your business drops, or you hit a dump, or whatever you want to call it, I like to call it peaks and troughs. When you have like a trough in your business, like, guess what? You're going to have to really work on yourself. And it's in those times that you learn and you get better, so that your business can boom again. And then, it's going to boom to new heights. And then when the stuff comes at you that maybe came at you before, you're stronger to deal with it better. So that's a really, really important way of looking at it. Like, please don't ever think if your business falls, or you have like a trough rather than a peak, like, it's just part of your journey, and it's just helping you get to where you need to be. Another thing that I actually don't really ever do this is they were saying that on Instagram, if you are speaking to a potential, and hopefully you girls have got your 2 inboxes, like I mentioned, to have as a creators account. So they were saying that if you've got a potential, and it depends on whether they're good at this, but if they do things like a reel, or they post regularly and it's something shareable, they were saying that if you like share them to your stories, it's quite good for interaction, because obviously if you share someone in your story, it goes to their inbox, and most nice people will say thank you. If they don't, you probably don't want to work with them. But if you do that, it's just gonna like do a little bit of an engagement with them. And I never do this, and I was like, that's a great idea. So I'm going to try and do that a little bit. Obviously they might not do reels, but they might do, and if you do that, you might just get their attention back in a way of following up, I suppose, without having to be like, did you listen to my voice? No, are you still interested? That kind of thing. And just like another big one that I've kind of mentioned earlier, but obviously, when I was sat there in NMD school, they were saying like, what you do now is going to pay you in January. What you do now is going to get you on the stage in the next convention. Maybe if it's not October, maybe it's not even like, when is it, March? You know, we do it. Maybe it's next October. And I was like, that is so important to think like that. Like, you have to think about that. Like, you don't get paid in this business for what you do now. You get paid months, years later. And sometimes we massively forget that. When our business is quiet and we maybe feel like we're not making progress, we all forget, myself included, and we're all guilty of it. We forget that we're not expected to get paid now for what we're doing now. That's the beauty of this business, and that is what actually sets out kind of like the best from the rest, because the best of us, like you guys, that, and you are willing to do the work regardless of when you effectively get paid. Obviously, I know we can get paid straight away for orders, but in terms of like the bigger picture, and again, I'm gonna just kind of like finish. I know that it's 25 past on this one. Literally consistency. We talk about it all the time, but it's people's biggest downfall. So when you're rating yourself on consistency, think about You know, are you posting like, and set out your minimum post? For me, it's minimum of 5. Are you doing a post 5 times a day? Are you doing a results post every day? I know in the last week I've had at least one day where I've not done a results post. I've posted every day, at least 5, but I've forgotten to do a results post, you know, so I've not been consistent in that. Have you gone live? If you go live regularly, in my opinion, you should go live every single day. It's the easiest way to get people to like, know, and trust you and build your business. So are you doing it every day? You know, are you being consistent every day with your stories? Like, I go on people's stories. I'm not like picking on anybody on the call, but I go on people's stories and I'm like, they've got like 2 stories. What have they been doing all day? A story takes like 2 seconds to put up, you know. Get your polls on there, be consistent with it, because it's honestly the thing that sets people up from the rest. And people do it for like a few weeks, a few months, are like, oh, I didn't get anywhere. And it's like, well, no, of course you didn't, you know. You have to keep doing it over and over. And lastly, as well, just quickly before I forget, when I was listening to a podcast by Fraser Brooks, and I meant to share it and I forgot, and I will try and find it and share it. He was talking about following up, and I thought this was genius. So he was saying, how many of you get, in terms of the business, all the products really, get someone who, when you say, oh, are you interested, they say something like, oh, I need to think about it. I get this all the time. And he was like, so a lot of us go back and say, okay, no worries. He said, what actually he recommends you do, which I think is so clever and so simple, is he was like, message them back and say, oh, no worries. And then voice note them and just say something along the lines of, I get a lot of people who say to me they want to think about it, but actually they're not interested. They're just too kind to say and don't want to hurt my feelings. I also have people who genuinely have something they want to think about within the business. Which person are you? And I was like, that's genius, because he was like, 70% of your potentials who say that are probably going to be like, yeah, I'm actually not interested, but I don't want to hurt your feelings. And you'll be like, okay, no worries. And they go off your list. He was like, you're then left with your small handful of people, because we all know it's a numbers game, right? Who actually are interested, but they maybe want to know more about the compensation plan, or they think we're a pyramid scheme to get paid to bring people in. We don't, you know, that kind of thing. They've maybe like lost something along the way. And I was like, that is genius. It's so good, isn't it? And when he said it on the call, I was sat and I paused it and I was like, I played it again. I was like, oh my God, like that is so simple, but so effective. So, and obviously, you know, it's probably good to do it. I'd not say immediately, but I'm going to try and go back through potentials and just say maybe something a little bit different. You know, are you interested? If you're not, like, I know a lot of people don't want to hurt my feelings. I genuinely don't mind. Let me know. But I just think sometimes we waffle around, me massively included. The list of potentials, particularly on my Instagram, I've got is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And I've got no idea whether they're going to join me or not. And do you know what? Sometimes people aren't ready. If someone's not ready, in response to that message, they're probably going to say, no, I am interested. I just want to talk to my partner. Do you know what I mean? That kind of thing. But you are going to get so many people who genuinely just don't want to hurt your feelings. And this, we're all used to that. And you know what? When someone says no, if it's not for them, fine. You've offered it. That's all you can do. So I want to share that because it was such a good little tip to help us with recruitment. So I'll finish there because I know the time is ticking away. I'm just going to stop the recording.